Welcome back to Healthwise. I'm Reggie Tatum, and of course we have our special guest, Dr. Carl Gonsoulin. And we were talking about pediatric dentistry today, but one of these things that's coming up that's really, really important, well, as far as for kids anyway, is Halloween. And I know that's a big time for kids, but it's probably a terrible time for dentists, you know, that this time, Halloween time. Doc, what are some of the things you think that parents should be wary of during this time?
Well, first of all, Halloween is a great time. It's always, when I was a kid, always was a special time. We always had a great time. And the safety of the children is always the first thing, and there are lots of things that the parents should be aware of. It's at night, there's traffic, a lot of kids are out there, a lot of kids have the same costume, so you want to make sure you bring the right kid home or keep track of the child. The kids, we don't want them injuring themselves. Some of them are wearing masks. You want to make sure they can see well with the mask. If they're wearing a costume, you want to make sure the costume's fixed up in such a way that they can walk properly. And so sometimes these things have to be adjusted, so that can happen. My office manager tell me about, she puts a little glow light or something on her child, because a lot of times the kids have the same costume, so she wants to make sure you can keep track of her child. And when you go into the houses, you want to make sure that there's safety going to the houses. The house should be well lit. You want to make sure there's nothing that's going to be obstructive, like bushes or anything that could catch the child's costume or maybe injure the child,
right,
or anything like that. And you want the sidewalk to be good, so they're not going to be tripping or something like that. And of course, we recommend don't go into the house. Okay, all right. Now, another thing that's important is that the parents should be aware that to inspect the candy before the children eat the candy. We want to make sure that there's not something going on there. We recommend a candy that hasn't been tampered with, the wrappers or sealed.
Unopened candies.
Yeah, unopened, stuff like that. And then now for dentistry is concerned, the kids, of course, we want them to have a good time. And most things in moderation are okay, all right? And candy is one of those things, okay? If they have braces, they have to be careful what kind of candy they're eating so that they don't injure the braces or damage the braces, sticky things or hard things and stuff like that.
Would be bad for braces.
Right, that's right. And so that's one of the things. Now, when it comes to eating, after the kids have gotten all the candy and everything like that, it's a really good idea to find a safe place that's well lit where you can inspect the candy and make sure everything. And anything that might be unwrapped that maybe looks like a drug or something, get rid of that stuff. Don't fool with that stuff, okay? And then now when it comes time to eating the candy, kids want to have a good time with that, but you have to, it's in moderation. You don't want the children to just eat a whole bunch of candy. Next thing you know, they've got an upset stomach or something. That's not healthy for them to do, okay? And so they can have, like you have a special time during the evening or during the day where they have a little bit, not a whole bunch, okay? And you want to make sure that the teeth are being cleaned after that so the sugar and stuff doesn't start causing problems.
Especially, I know it looks like the trend is, today I went into the store and I looked up on the Halloween candy aisle, and it looks like most of the candy is taffy. It's a kind of sticky, something that's chewy that sticks to the teeth and stuff like that. How will that affect, is it, in other words, what I'm asking is that kind of candy worse for teeth than the hard candies, or whatever?
Well, the things that are mainly the problem is the duration. How long is the stuff in the mouth? How long is the sugar or the candy in the mouth? And how frequent does it go in the mouth? Okay, all right. So if you can have a lollipop or something like that, you can suck on that for a long time. That'd keep the sugar in the mouth for a long time. The taffies and stuff like that, they tend to be sticky. They tend to stay in the mouth longer. Okay, all right. Of course, if you have braces or things like that in the mouth, that can gum up, and stick to the braces, and that can stay in the mouth for quite a while, and it can add to problems or start promoting problems. So we want to be careful with that.
Sure. Now, what about, of course, you hear these horror stories where you hear about things in the candy, you know, every now and then you hear about somebody that's maliciously puts things in to cut the mouth of whoever's there. You know, I mean, and I think that's where it's important for the parents to inspect the candy. You know,
absolutely. We have a different society than we used to have, and so you always have to be careful in inspecting the candy. I wouldn't eat anything that was homemade or unwrapped, because I think you're taking a chance.
I remember my mom used to take our candy. We had to dump our bags on the table, and then she would sift through, you know, all the things to make sure
exactly the right
whether or not it was something harmful. You know, even if it was just open. Every now and then you'd go to some house and they'd have something like, they might give you a caramel apple, you know, and she would just automatically just throw that away, like, no, that's homemade, you know. Yeah. If you don't know exactly who made that, then no, you know, that was not something we were allowed to eat. As you said before, you know, moderation, I guess. We shouldn't, I think in this society, this day and age, some parents, especially these young parents, don't seem like they watch what their kids, watch them as close as they should. So you shouldn't let your kid eat just a bag full of, you know, the whole bag of candy.
Right.
You know?
I mean, the hard part is we want the kids to have a good time. We want them to get a lot of stuff, okay? But you just can't have them have all that stuff. Okay, unless you have it spread out over a long period of time, because there's usually a lot of, you know, maybe the goblin picks up the candy the next day, or the extra stuff the next day, but just like for Easter, you know, the Easter bunny comes pick up the candy the next day or something like that, so it didn't hang around the house all the time and make it that much of a temptation. But it's just common sense, you know. You can have the child, they have the stuff. Okay, but they can only have so much at one time, and then it's not good to have it all day long or several times during the day, because you're just asking for trouble if that occurs. Now,
should they brush immediately after eating the candy?
At least rinse the mouth a little bit, get some of the sugar out. But if you can brush the teeth, that would be even better. You know, and if you're not doing, if you have a designated time, it's easy to do that. If they're doing it all day long, then it's not practical to do that. But it's still, they wouldn't want to do that in the first place.
Well, it's not. Is there such a thing as brushing too much?
Well, for this short period of time, probably not, but you could be excessive if it was something else. But I wouldn't be too concerned about that, but it certainly, I recommend cleaning the teeth, or at least rinsing the mouth with water to get that stuff out of there as best you can, especially if you're eating something like the gummy stuff. I would go with a brush and try to get that out of there.
Okay. So, well, Doc, we're going to take a brief break for our sponsors, and we'll come back and talk some more about pediatric dental care.
Okay, great.